In this episode of Game Terrain Engineering, I'm going to finish up the third and final figure in the Reaper Learn to Paint kit. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Game Terrain Engineering. I'm DM Jim, and in this episode I am going to finish up the Reaper Learn to Paint kit, the Core Skills box, this one right here. This one came with 3 figures and a bunch of paint. The first figure I painted was the Skeleton Archer right here. And the second one was the Orc Marauder right there. The third and final figure in this kit, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Reaper, apologies if I'm not, Mangu Timur. This little guy right here. He's armored, he has a shield, nice sword. You can see that the sword is a bit curved. I'm gonna have to heat this up in water so that I can, bend it back into shape. There are plenty of articles on Google, if you Google it, about Reaper miniatures, especially the bones, about how to, get bent pieces repaired. I'm not gonna go over that in this video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Timur, the instructions, and the 11 paints in the kit, and I'm gonna get this guy painted up. Now, before I do that, I should also let you know that I have Reaper's Learn to Paint kit Layer Up. I've enjoyed this kit. I've really had fun with it. And so I went ahead and I broke down and I bought this one right here. It also comes with 3 figures, 11 paints, brushes, and the instructions. And I believe it's Rhonda, what was her name? Rhonda Bender is the instructor, or the writer of the instructions for this and this kit. So when I finish this one, I'm gonna take a little break, but then I'm gonna tackle these down the road, just so you know. Layer Up, it says it's blending, glazing, and lining. And honestly, I don't even know what those things are. I think I know what blending is, but glazing and lining, no idea. Hopefully this will help me figure it out. The reason I am tackling this one so fast, I really wanted to space these out over like maybe a month between each, but I teach summer camps in the summer. I'm a tech writer by trade, and my son's school allows me or asks me to teach technology camps to kids in the summer. And I had one, a drop in my lap for this week that you're watching this, which this is confusing. I always schedule this, like a week later. So the week you're watching this is the week I'm actually going to be teaching another camp. It fell in my lap. I couldn't say no. It's going to be a really fun camp. So I needed to do something for another video. I've been trying to release these videos on a weekly basis, every Wednesday. So far, I think I've done pretty good. And I don't want to disturb that record. I want to keep going with that. So rather than have a hole in the week and have you guys wondering if a video is coming, I'm going to go ahead and stick with the schedule, post this one on Wednesday, but we're going to go ahead and finish this one up and get this painted. So the first step, again, is going to be doing the base coats. And the instructions are pretty straightforward right here. This one has got a lot of different base coats, whereas the skeleton only had 4 categories, and the orc had 6 categories. This one has 8 categories. So there are 8 different base coats or mixtures that I'm going to have to do to get this. So this video is going to be a lot of time lapse because honestly I just don't think you want to watch me paint in real time the shield or the sword. So I'll use text in the videos to tell you what I'm doing during those time lapse portions when I'm not narrating. So let's get started. All right, Mangu Timur, this little guy right here, he has 8 different categories for base painting. The underside of the coat skirt and back of shield, pure black. Plate armor, blade steel for padding, harvest brown. You can see how it's giving me exactly what to give on the base coats. So for this part right here, I'm pretty much just going to tackle it in 1 or 2 sittings, and I'm going to time lapse it. But for the wash colors, I may go a little slower. Now before I do, I want you to notice the sword is slightly bent. So I'm going to go fix that now by soaking this in some really hot water And then the instructions basically say soak it in hot water for a few minutes, and then you bend the sword or whatever back to the shape it needs to be, and you hold it there for a minute or two to let it cool, and that's supposed to fix it. We'll see. But I'm gonna go do that right now, and I'll be back. So the instructions tell me for this guy, we're gonna start with the underside of the coat skirt and the back of the shield, and the coat skirt is gonna be really tricky to get to. It's way back in there, and it's supposed to be black, just plain old black. So let's get started. All right, here he is. This is after the base coats have been applied. You may notice the sword has a little brown spot on it. The silver is not mixing well. I'm not sure what's going on there. I actually had to resort to a non-Reaper brand silver because I just can't get anything out of this particular silver tube. It's almost as if it's dried up. I don't know, I've used it before with previous miniatures, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm not getting any mixing going on. Anyway, I'm not able to paint the sword 100%, so I'm waiting for it to dry so I can give another coat to it. But here's one of the things I keep doing. I keep tinkering. I keep doing touch-ups, and with touch-ups I make a mistake and I do another touch-up. I think at some point you just have to draw a line and just stop and say, okay, the base coats are done, time to do the washes, time to do the dry brushing. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm pretty happy with him. There might be a few subtle mistakes, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. The colors are very vivid, so of course the washes are going to tone that down a bit. But I like him. The only complaint I have about the instructions, if you look at the photo, those are really the only two photos you get. So there are a lot of little hidden details in this guy that I just didn't know what to do, and so I just had to make my best guess. I had to figure out, you know, is that part of the armor, is that part of the fur, or is that part of the scabbard? You just have to make your best call because again, you've only got 2 pictures. You know, looks pretty good. Not all the detail is brought out yet. But there you go. So up next is the washes, and there are 3 different washes that will be done to cover this thing. There are a total of 3 washes. The first wash is for the sword, dagger, and blue areas. All right, it says to mix 1 drop of dragon blue, okay, with 1 drop pure black and 6 drops of water. All right, there's the blue. There's the black and 6 drops of water. All right, mix that up really good. Still a little blue pigment in there. There it is. Get rid of it. Yeah, I don't know if the camera does it justice, but this mix almost, or this wash almost looks like a dark gray with a hint of blue in it. All right. And the instructions say to go top to bottom. So blue areas, sword, and dagger point. I'm going to do just the blue areas and the dagger because I have not repainted the sword yet. And that's it for the blues. All right, the next wash is 1 drop Harvest Brown right here and 3 drops water. And this one is for the leather straps, scabbard, and gauntlets. Okay. All right, and then the final wash is just 1 part black, 4 parts water. Now it has a special set of instructions here. It says you're supposed to hold the figure upside down when doing the armor plates. 3, 4. And it states you do that to concentrate the wash in the crevices between the plates. All right, we'll do that. Now, like I said, the only thing I've got to do at this point is paint the sword. So I'll go ahead and do it now. You can see the wash is still not dry in all areas, so I'm going to go ahead and let that dry really well before I go on to the dry brushing. Now there are 2 dry brushing layers that the instructions provide. The first one, it says use the base colors for each area as the first dry brush layer. So basically I'll just do the blues, the mountain, the steel, the tan, all those. I'll just do a dry brush on them. Then it says for dry brush layer 2, there's different recipes here, and basically it looks like what it's doing is just adding white and yellow and sand to some of the colors to lighten them up, I guess. But I like how this is looking already, but I can definitely see that maybe the dry brushing will brighten some of these areas. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and let the sword dry, and then I will tackle the dry brushing. All done. There he is, Mangu Timur. I'll include some close-up photos of this at the end of the episode, but I wanted you to take a look. I'm pretty happy with it. This one is much closer to the one in the book than the Orc Marauder. This one, when I did it, the leather turned out a little darker. But overall, this one, I followed the instructions exactly, and it's a pretty good fit. My blue is a little lighter, but that's because probably I'm having a hard time getting the blue out. So it says 2 drops blue, 1 drop white. It was probably more like 1 drop blue. So it was definitely a little lighter, but all in all, I'm really pleased with it. I would play this at a table if I were a player. This is definitely just an outstanding figure. I will tell you this, very, very complicated to do this one. This is why it's the 3rd one. Lots of little details to do. I did a lot of touch-ups on this one, and there's just so many little details to do on it. All I can tell you is I can see why they picked this one to go last. So, you know, I started out with the Archer skeleton, and then I moved forward, which was easy, by the way, and I moved to the Orc Marauder here, which was a little more difficult. And this one was definitely the most difficult. But looking at the skeleton and then looking at the progression of what I've done here, I'm very pleased. I've just never been this good at painting miniatures. And I'm not saying I'm great at it right now, but I'm better than I was. I mean, keep in mind, I used to paint miniatures with these acrylics, okay? Not the best. So now I'm really understanding, you know, what goes into these bottles. Much stronger colors, more vivid colors, something related to the pigment as I'm starting to understand some of the terminology, but just outstanding. I love it. Had fun with this. This was a 3 miniature kit right there. Reaper, I enjoyed it. I'm not being paid to say that. I bought this with my own money, but hands down, I just absolutely enjoyed doing it. So there we go. 1, let's see if I can get them all. 2 and 3. All 3 miniatures done. And I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you're looking to, you know, get some hands-on training, this kit would be an outstanding buy. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to take a break from painting miniatures for a while, but I do want to get to this one, the Learn to Paint Layer Up. 3 more figures, some more techniques to learn, new paints. This one comes with, you know, the instruction book, paints, paint brushes, 3 figures. Yep, they're in there. Again, I'm going to take a little break, but this one won't be too far down the line. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. If you like what you see, post. If you don't like, if you think, man, that's ugly, go ahead and post it. I'm fine with that. All I can say is I'm really looking forward to painting some more miniatures. And having seen this one and know what's involved in this, the washes and the dry brushing and stuff, I can do this now. So I'm going to start keeping my eye out for more miniatures to paint. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode.